Hey folks, I'm still alive. Nothing much has been going on. I thought I'd give a little update just because, it's kind of been the same shit, different day scenario. Still going through the freaking COVID thing. I live in Missouri, so it's a high-risk state, so we still have to wear masks everywhere and that kind of junk, same old, same old. I don't know if it's the same where you are, but I mean, it's pretty much the same. Sick of seeing election ads on TV. Hopefully after this, November 3rd, this shit'll be over for a while. And on YouTube, it's just election ads. Video games, haven't bought any. Well, I bought one, but it was too fucking hard, so I quit playing it. It was called Mutant Year Zero. It was supposed to be like XCOM, but basically it's like there's no gradual build, and there's no way to really get your guys leveled up without doing the actual missions. But the missions are too fucking hard. And so I looked up some stuff on Reddit from people, and they're like, or just on Google in general, and read some things, and they're like, well, you just got to sneak through most of the areas and avoid big fights. And I'm like, well, how do you know what a big fight is? I mean, you don't know unless you trip the fight how many people are going to be involved in the fight. And so basically I played like the first 2 or 3 fights, and then now I was sneaking through all these areas, and then I reached a point where it looks like there's this huge fight that I have to do, and I'm like, my characters aren't powered up enough to do it, and there's no superfluous missions or optional missions to level your characters up. So you can't power your people up, and there's hardly any currency to buy anything. And it's just like a lot of sneaking around, and I don't like stealth games. I bought it because I thought it was a turn-based strategy game, which that's part of it, but a lot of it's just sneaking past shit. I'm like, screw it. Because I only paid I think I paid $8 for the game at GameStop. And yes, I went in at GameStop and wore a mask, and it was dead as shit. Actually, the GameStop guy, when I went in there, same guy that's always in there, I swear they bought him and he lives in the back. He's like a robot or something. He's like, they didn't have the game, but he called over to this other store and to verify that they had it over there. And he's like, yeah, he goes, you're the first customer I've seen in like 3 hours. And I'm like, really? And I'm not even buying anything there because I'm going to go over to the other store and get this game if they got it. And they did. So I was like, well, hope your rest of your day goes quicker than this. And he's like, yeah. And, out the door. So, yeah, so I bought that game. It's too hard. I mean, I like the game. I mean, the idea. It's just the balance of fighting versus sneaking, and not having any optional missions to level your characters up. Like on XCOM, eventually the aliens will trip these battles, and you got to pick between 2 or 3. Well, when you go on those, your characters get experience, and you can level them up. So all you have to do is wait, and scan, and then eventually it'll trip these battles, and you can level your characters up. But there's no extra battles, and it's got too hard. So I guess that's my little bit of video gaming news. I went back to playing XCOM, and I put it on the regular setting, the normal setting, and I'm like, because it says, those who are familiar with XCOM. Well, I beat XCOM twice, and I've taken parties all the way to the end 3 times and just didn't finish it. Because I'm like, all I got to do is go in and beat the last guy, and it's done. And I'm like, well, no, or last major fight. you know, and then it's done. And I'm like, yeah, no big deal. So I started over on normal, and it just seemed ridiculously, I don't know if I normally play it on the easy level, because I was playing it on normal, and it just seemed like there's not enough weapon drops. The characters are missing shots way more often. And when they're leveling up, their stats aren't increasing in the areas that you really need them to, which is their aim and their willpower, as well as they should. And the enemies are OP. I mean, it's like a normal dude has like 10 life slots, and I'll hit him with a 7, and I'm like, I could have swore he had like only like 6 or 7 life, and he'll still have like part of a life bar left, and he's still alive. And I'm like, I gotta use 3 of my guys to kill one of these little grunts. And I made it through part of War of the Chosen. I killed one of the Chosen, and I was playing it, and I reached a point where I'm like, I don't think I can continue at this rate. You know, I wasn't getting supplies. I wasn't being able to scan anything because enemies were constantly popping up on the screen. So I go in, and I noticed that you could switch the difficulty, so I switched it over to the rookie again, and it like immediately got better. So I'm like, okay, so I'm like, should I switch it back once I kind of get where I, you know, can kind of control this again? And I'm like, yeah, I probably should, but I enjoy it more on the easier level, you know. I don't want it super easy, but, and I was struggling, but I just felt like I reached a point where I was in the countdown clock. I didn't have enough supplies. My weapons weren't upgraded enough, and the scientist guy wasn't researching shit fast enough for me to be able to get powered up. And also, it's like they weren't giving me the option to get any more scientists, or it's like engineers kept showing up that I could get, but no scientists. And I was like, okay, this is boring as shit if you guys don't know about XCOM 2, so sorry. So I went back to playing that, but I enjoy it. So I've got hundreds of games, and I'm playing XCOM 2 again. I know the new console seasons, you know, the new consoles are going to be coming out or have come out. I don't even fucking know. I ain't paying attention to that. I don't care. I never buy a console till it's been out a couple years anyway, and the game catalog's built up a little bit, and I've heard some things about a few good games that are worth buying, and, you know, I've heard things about the system. I usually wait till like the second version, the slimmer version or whatever comes out, before I even think about buying it. And I'll probably get a PS5, but I don't really know. I didn't research either one, so it really doesn't matter. But, you know, there are some games on the PS4 still that I want that I don't have, like the Final Fantasy remake. I played the demo, but I didn't buy the game yet. And I'm like, if I buy it, will I even play through it all the way? And the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes, I mean, I got a digital download of Resident Evil 2, but I'd like to buy 2 and 3 on disc. Other than that, I'm not really overly concerned with buying video games. Just trying to kind of, but then I try to go back and play like 16-bit shit that I never finished. I'm like, well, these games are obviously probably shorter and not quite as hard. And I go back and I do get interested in them for a split second, and it's like for a few days I'll play them pretty solid, and then I just stop. I don't want to play games every day, you know, it's just the way it is. And so, you know, for some reason today in Missouri it's going to be 83 degrees, and yesterday it was 42 or something, and tomorrow it's going to be 45 again. So it's going up 40 degrees for just today. And then tomorrow, it's gonna be cold again. Does that make any sense? It's craziness. And so I got thrown off. There were 2 motorcycle cops sitting back there at a 4-way stop, sitting back from the stop. It's like, I guess they're waiting for somebody to blow through that stop. I mean, I don't know why they would just be sitting there chatting on the side of the road, 100, 200 feet back from a 4-way stop. My uncle decided this week he was going to take vacation. You know, we were slow for a long time, and he was taking Mondays off because we didn't have enough work to do. And then as soon as we got work to do, he came back, and then he takes a vacation for a full week. And our job is the type of job where it's cool to take like a few days, usually, like, you know, like a 5-day weekend or something. But to take a full week plus the weekends, you know, it's hard on the other person in the department. And I'm just like, been struggling this week. I'm not very happy about it, but what are you going to do? There's 2 days left, and I'm just trying to power through. Well, not only that, he said on Monday, he's not even going to be in till like noon or something. And I'm like, fuck, okay. So, anywho, almost to the place of work, so I'm going to sign off. Things are going okay. I gained weight, of course, on this stupid COVID diet, which is don't watch what you're eating at all, you stupid fat bastard. And my liver's still about where it was. I haven't gone back to the doctor that made me do all the MRIs and shit. I've been putting it off just because, for one, I feel okay, and two, I just don't have the money. If he's like, oh, you need to get another MRI, you need to do this, I'm gonna just have to say, nah, man, I can't do it. I'll come back for a follow-up in 6 months. If I look fucking like I'm needing it, then fine. If it's just because you want me to get one, just because, screw that. And my last one I got was like almost $3,000, and my primary doctor told me, he goes, he did all my blood work and stuff, and he's the one that checked my liver work and stuff and said it was, a little elevated and this and that. But, he's like, if they tell you to do an MRI, call me. He goes, I can send you to an outpatient place to do an MRI. There, it'll cost about half of what they're charging you to go do it at the hospital. And he goes, and they can send the results over to him. He goes, you don't have to do it there just because he's there. He goes, hospitals will charge you through the ass, He didn't say ass, but, I mean, he's pretty cool. He's about my age, my doctor. And, he's like, but he goes, you can tell him, you can tell them straight up that you don't think it's a good idea to do it right now, or you can't do it right now, and all they can do is recommend it. I mean, they can't force you to do it. And I'm like, yeah, I know. So sorry if my camera works for shit. So things are going okay. I hope everything's okay in your worlds. My grandmother's not doing great. She's 92, but she's been in and out of the hospital, and she's getting weaker and lost her appetite and doesn't really eat anymore, and is dependent on everybody for everything, and she barely gets out of bed anymore, and she's just she's going out. I mean, she's 92 though, but she's just fading. And I just want her to have a peaceful time of it for the rest of her life and not be in any pain or anything. That's all I want. I mean, yes, it's sad. I've already shed some tears over it, and there will be more. But that's a long time to live and to be on this earth. it's not like it's a sudden, you know, thing. The death of a, you know, spouse or child or something out of the blue. Something like that, I mean. So anywho, I'm here. I'm signing off, and I'll really try to post this one. I've filmed a few, but I'll try to post this one for sure. All right, folks, I'll talk to you later. Bye.